everybody, once again to Career Expo 2022. You are here to roadmap to your career. I'm going to pass it on to our amazing presenter, Lauren Williams. She is currently a career advisor for Cal State LA. Go Golden Eagles. That's my alma mater. She graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a Bachelor in Sociology and a Gender Studies minor. And then she went on to get her grad degree in Education Counseling at the University of La Verne. And she's done different things throughout her career, such as production artist, production manager, professor, a counselor, and advisor. So she's done so many great things, and she has so much great experience to offer you. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our amazing and wonderful presenter, Lauren. Take it away.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone. Thank you for having me into your space. So, of course, we're going to get started with today's workshop presentation, if you will, on Roadmap to Your Career. So give me a second to now screen share to my press. So once again, my name is Lauren, coming from Cal State LA, here to talk to you about your different career pathways and talking about literally your roadmap to the career, right? So thinking about all the different ways that you can maximize your experiences when it talks about, when we're talking about university, and we're talking about how that plays a role, right, into your career journey. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get discussing on the topics that we're going to be covering today. So as a preview, right, kind of like an overview of some of the things that we'll be addressing in our time together is talking about the future of work, right? Because if we're talking about roadmap to your career, we're definitely talking in the future scheme of things, but we also want to be mindful about the landscape of work, right? Because that's definitely going to play a part and influence you about what is available as far as options, the types of work, and also your approach to work. So we'll talk about what intelligent career approach is, and then we're going to dive into your career readiness. Talk about what does that exactly look like, right? And as well as how it plays a part in your journey. And then we'll talk about weighing your options, because roadmap to your career is also about career decision-making, which maybe options are priority, what are you interested in, and also then making those effective, maybe calculated and weighed decision based upon your experiences with your interests, right? Various interests. So I want to take us to a really short video, really emphasizing where I want you to think about and emphasize, why do you think the how in going to college is so important, right? So I'm going to do a quick segue to that, and then we're going to come back.
When I graduated, a degree was a signal that you were ready for the workforce, right? It was a golden ticket. It was a golden ticket for most graduates at that time. Today, a university degree has a lot more noise around it, and I want to talk about that noise, right? It's still a signal of job readiness, but for many people, a credential, any type of credential from post-secondary education around the world, has a lot more noise around it. It's why in many countries today, a large number of new graduates are underemployed, right? They're not only unemployed, but they're underemployed, meaning they're in jobs that don't even require a credential. And increasingly, a post-secondary credential around the world is a ticket to get any job, not just the high-paying, white-collar jobs that for most of our history, we thought that's what a credential post-high school actually meant in many, many countries. So today, I want to talk about why it's so much more critical about how somebody goes to college, rather than just the fact that they go, where they go, or even if they go, right? This how is becoming much more critical, because to too many students, they have a passive relationship with education, right? They walk in the door, they follow the syllabus, they go from class to class to class, they go from year to year, and they graduate with that credential, and they think, like I did 20 years ago, that that credential will provide them a job in the workforce. And the message that I have today, after spending the last couple of years not only with recent graduates, but with also employers, is that it's much more critical that you go to college in a certain way, and that you have the certain amount of experiences in that time to succeed in the workplace of tomorrow. And what this requires us is to really rethink the passageway from education to the workforce, right? It's not that linear way where somebody would graduate with a degree, move into a job, probably stay in that occupation for the rest of their lives, in some cases stay with an employer for the rest of their lives, and then retire. Today, when students graduate from college or university, I actually think we should give them a navigational chart, right? Because the world of tomorrow is literally wide open seas.
All right, so with that being said, I'm going to segue back to the presentation. And I probably already kind of gave the answers away a little bit, but drop it in the chat. Why do you think the how is so important when it comes to going to college, right? Giving that away. Here we go. Why do you think the how is important when going to college, right? What types of experiences to have? All right, got some in the chat because you'll need help through college, which you will make you ask how, excuse me. Yes, it's important to have a great background. That's why it's crucial for someone to reach their goals. I like the hint there, right? Background, right? Staying active is not just important, but passively engaging. Yes, I like that comment right there, right? And again, I know we got a lot of great comments in the chat that I'm trying to maybe read through. It's a blueprint to what you want in your future from Emerson. Yes, right? Because again, kind of giving away a little bit before, right? How we experience college, our experiences is going to shape our career journey, right? So I really love how the video really pointed out our passive relationship when it comes to education, right? Part of it is going to courses, right? But that is not the only part when it comes to becoming career ready. Attending your classes, passing your classes, attaining that knowledge and expertise is part of your journey, right? But there's other arenas, if you will, when it comes to university, other departments, other ways that you can build up your career readiness, which we're going to get into those competencies too. But it's also really important how you experience college, right? Because yes, your degree is going to qualify you, right? Getting that diploma that you work so hard for is going to qualify you. But now you're also thinking about what else? And that is all the other experiences that you're building throughout your time in university, right? So keeping this in mind as we're going through our time together, right, is that the types of experiences that you have in college isn't only limited to your academic, right? We talked about internships, having fun, right? Whether it looks like maybe possibly joining different events that universities put on, student-led, organizations-led, right? All these different avenues are literally your avenues for career readiness. You're utilizing literally the entire university campus as your career readiness, right? But we're gonna dive more into that. But first, we're gonna analyze this landscape of the future of work, right? Because like the video was also pointing out too, we're thinking about what that landscape looks like. So of course, I won't get too much into the topic, right? But just to paint the picture of what this future of work looks like isn't necessarily the same as our parents, maybe grandparents' way of specializing in one sort of career, one sort of occupation, if you will, then spending a few years, if not 30, 40, 50 years in that said career and then retiring, right? If I refer over to this diagram here, that's where you can kind of see that played out. Now that's the traditional notion, but that isn't necessarily this new and future landscape of work. Partly in due to internet and technology, right? But we have to talk about that because those two components are gonna play a huge part into this landscape of work. And what university prepares you for is not only to be experts in maybe the major that you're majoring, but you are equipping yourself with experiences and skill sets that will enable you to become lifelong, adaptable learners. And that is where this future of work is coming to. Excuse me. So what that looks like is that constant re-engagement of skill sets, right? Skill sets that, again, are pertaining to maybe your discipline of interest, whether it's art, history, business administration, things of that nature, right? Hundreds of different majors, right? But again, not only are you building skills and knowledge in that, but you're building skills that you can take with you at various careers throughout your lifetime, right? And that is what this next future of work landscape is preparing you for, and what universities are also preparing you for. So I also list down just some quick notes of what the impact of a 4-year degree really gives for individuals, right? First one being career exploration, and we're definitely going to dive more into that, but you can pursue things that you like or don't like, right? Really engaging into different types of opportunities. It's also increasing marketability as far as offering a variety of skill sets, not just in one particular, industry or interest, right? And an overview of everything else, talking about building your networks. We're going to get into that today too, shortly too, but developing professionalism. You don't learn those in classes, right? You learn it literally in the fields of your interests, and professionalism looks different across different industries. The banking industry is so much different than a startup company, right? Maybe suits and ties versus more relaxed attire, shorts as opposed to suits, things of that nature, right? Professionalism isn't one notion or one way of what professionalism looks like. So all of these different impacts that this degree, right, gives you, it's that noise, right, that surrounds your degree, that it's giving you all of those other additional, not just skill sets, but experiences, right, that you can leverage, that you are leaving university with. Alrighty, so then now even maybe segueing a little bit on that same topic of the world of work, I want you to now think about your contribution to world of work. Because if we maybe backpedal, think about work, we think about work as a way as we are contributing to something, right? Whether we're contributing to a certain cause, or whether if we're contributing to maybe that work itself, whether we're helping to build something, create, sell, advertise, whatever that work is. But we are some way contributing to that. And that way and thinking about that is contributing to a certain cause. So I've done maybe a survey, as far as you will, for, if you see these causes on the right side, these I've done from certain other appointments I've had with students when I've asked them, so what is it that you would like to, I'm going to get a little cliche-ish, solve in the world? What is something that you want to address, right? What is your approach to what is it that you want to accomplish in the world of work? Because if we think about it, we're accomplishing certain things. Maybe you're currently working right now at a certain job that you are doing, right? Look at your duties as something that you are accomplishing every day, right? Not just, oh, I'm just getting this duty out the way, but you are accomplishing something and contributing to a cause. It might be to that cause of that organization that you're working for, but when you're thinking about your career, you're thinking about what is your cause that you want to contribute to. So what some students have reported, or maybe have shared with me in appointments, is, well, I want to do something where I'm supporting families, or I want to do something where I feel like I'm saving children's lives, something to do in healthcare. I don't know exactly what, but I want to do that, right? If I'm even taking maybe that certain cause that this student had, right? There's different avenues that this student can maybe express their cause in. Saving children's lives, maybe I can become a doctor, a nurse in a hospital setting, or perhaps I can work in the hospital setting as an administration, right? Maybe I'm helping to run the hospital, but I'm still helping to save children's lives in a hospital setting, or in healthcare, or maybe I'm not in a hospital setting. Maybe I'm in a clinic. Maybe I'm working at a school. Maybe I'm working in the school's nursing office, right? Helping to save children's lives in healthcare. So it's when you're thinking about your cause, right? And the ways that you can express it can be many different things. But when but going back to the center, if you will, is your cause is what you see, or what your approach is to accomplishing that world of work. So now we're going to think about what our approach is and start talking about that. That is the intelligent career approach. So I'll just spend a little bit of time on here to talk about that as it sets up what our career readiness components are. Because intelligent career approach is how we now approach that cause, right? Or what is it that you want to address, accomplish, solve in the world? So quickly here, in the career development process, we examine what the knowing how is, knowing why, which is knowing your purpose, yourself, your career identity, and then thinking about how, which is your expertise as far as skill sets or skills, hard and soft, and then knowing whom. So this is literally your networks. I hate to use this cliche, but there is some truth to it. It's not what you know, but who you know. There is some truth to that. There is some underlying truth, because people in certain positions can give you career advice, can give you networking or give you opportunities when you're networking, right? Perhaps someone that you're networking or that you are is in your social circle can give you a volunteering opportunity or can give you an internship opportunity, right? Or maybe give you a referral leg up when applying to jobs. So your networks are very, very, very powerful when it comes to searching for employment. In fact, it's 60% of the job search. I'm getting ahead of myself. But these are your capitals to your approach to your cause, right? And knowing, and also knowing that this will change. This is developing and this will change throughout your experiences that you have. In fact, in my undergrad was sociology. Before that, I had a major for psychology. I was really interested. I was like, I am set. Psychology is my major. I took one class in psychology and said, absolutely not. I cannot do this major. This is not for me, right? So be agile, or what is also called is developing a growth mindset. It basically, summarizing that, means that you believe that your abilities are not fixed, meaning that you can develop and change over time through the experiences that you will have. So going back to my analogy, right? I had to start to maybe reassess what is my knowing why, maybe my purpose. What is it that I want to address in the world, right? Because I figured out in my career exploration of that class, I was like, nah, not doing that class anymore, right? So in this, maybe that short example really falls into what your career approach is, right? What is it that you see, or how do you see yourself maybe accomplishing that cause, right, that you have for yourself? So then now we're going to talk about a little bit of influences that go into your approach that affect what your career readiness also looks like. So briefly talking about influences. Oh, I didn't bring them all up. Let me do that real quick. So what is an influence? An influence is the capacity to have a meaningful impact, right? So this falls into your knowing why category of your career approach, right? Which embodies and gives fuel to your career readiness components, right? Because here we have to understand what it is that we want, right? Or what is our interests lie. I have a lot of career exploration appointments where I get students saying, I'm not even sure what I'm interested in, or how do I even start to understand what I'm interested in, right? Well, take your influences, right, as a starting point. Many other ways that we can explore, but this is one part of your aspect of exploring, understanding what's already influencing you, right? And some of these influences look like the self. So this is who am I, right? So you're going to hear this theme kind of really self-development theme is super important when it comes to identifying what is the career you want, right? So starting with the self and then branching that out with the community. So the people around me. So, and I include people around me as far as friends, social, families, mentors, colleagues. It is the individuals whose words you take into high consideration. Words that have an impact in how you make decisions or move forward, right? When you are calculating things of your interest. And then down here, we have our next for society environment. What this looks like is what of the environment of its natural maybe characteristics that maybe influence your decisions when it comes to what types of careers that of interest of you. For example, we live in, obviously we're in the Los Angeles area, entertainment capital of the world, if you will, right? So a lot of people come to this area for opportunities for film, music, right? Acting, maybe trying to break as far as a new artist, things of that nature, but that the environment gives them those type of opportunities or more so of them. Another example, if I wanted to be a marine biologist, I probably wouldn't move to Kansas, or I probably wouldn't really move to Idaho where there's no sea. There's no marine life really much there, right? To study or to maybe research a part of. So in this area is thinking about what of your environment is influencing you of your career opportunities, right? Maybe your transportation there, or again, what's available to you. And then your other side of influences is affected by time, right? Past events. Maybe you had a really great lacrosse coach, right? Or just maybe a really good sports coach, right? Maybe you're not interested in that sport per se of maybe becoming like an athletic or a professional athlete in that sport, but maybe you still want to be involved in the sports field in some way, right? Maybe you want to be involved in sports marketing or maybe advertising or maybe going into the healthcare side of sports, when you're thinking about sports therapy and things, right? But you're still involved in sports. Maybe because that past event really has such an impact on you that it's really driving your interest in where is it that you would like to go for that. So that's why I talk about past and current, or past events, present factors, of course, what's presently influencing you, future considerations, as well as chance events. So opportunities that, in a sense, are interjected, and you make a decision as far as whether or not you want to engage in that opportunity. So briefly just talking about the system and influences, again, because they're all working simultaneously. That's why I debunk or talk about them separately, but they're all happening at the same time, right? And all of these influences comprise of your direction of your cause, your purposes, and where is it that you would like to go. So that's why I talk about the different types of influences, right? And how it goes into your knowing how. All righty, so then from here, I want to segue and talk a little bit about value. So another way of knowing how, briefly talking about this portion too, because again, this is going to be a really purposeful drive when it comes to understanding your own sense of values and how that articulate or how that compares to your career. So values are super important because they reflect what your they reflect upon your fulfillment in that career. So not sure if you heard of the term of work-life satisfaction before, but work-life satisfaction basically enables, or basically says, you're in a career where you feel satisfied in because you are embodying the same type of values that that career embodies, right? Or you're fulfilling or being able to fulfill those same values, because values are like our moral compass, right? Helping us to decide or helping us to guide, what our purposes, our drives are, right? So I put down here that if values align with, doing a job that aligns with your values more closely means that you will be most likely satisfied or content with that work. So some examples could look like if you really value cooperation or compassion, right? You may enjoy a work environment where you are collaborating a lot and helping coworkers or clients, customers, engaging with people, or maybe a value in curiosity, meaning you might enjoy types of work where it requires you to be very investigative, analytical, problem solving, right? If you really have that curiosity sort of value. So this next slide just kind of reflects what other students have reported, some of their top values to consider to have in a career, right? And how they would want to maybe express some of these values. So what this could look like, I'll read just a few. One student even reported solitude as an important value for them. I need time and space for myself to reset. There are industries and types of work where you are your own boss, right? Or maybe you're working independently and you're not working so many with a lot of different other people, right? Or others in general. There is another example of openness. It's important to be open and to seek experiences, new ideas, options, improve yourself, right? A lot of occupations where you're going to be upskilling, as we just talked about the future of work. So as your values maybe don't give you the exact career occupation, right? But they are guiding lights, and guiding lights where you're building your foundation to become career satisfied, right? Because it's also about getting that career, maybe well-paying career job of your interest, but also being satisfied, fulfilled in your career, right? And that's part of incorporating your values. So now let's talk about career readiness, right? We really laid that landscape of talking about and really importance of what it means to build that motivational purpose. But let's talk about these competencies, right, that employers are looking for. So fun fact, did you know, pretty much majority, 93% of employers seek recent graduates with degrees, but for also those who intentfully are obtaining their career readiness skills. So what are these career readiness skills, right? Career readiness as this foundation demonstrates competencies and skills that widely prepare college students for the workplace and emphasis on lifelong career management. You're going to hear me repeat this over again about the future of work, right? It is about the plethora of skills that you're building and experiences that you will have and to have, right, in college, because everyone's going to be taking classes in college, right? Everyone has to take college, but not everyone might do an internship. Not everyone might volunteer, right? So you're thinking about all those other additional experiences that I was talking about that are your groundwork or your foundation to build the skill sets to have lifelong career management. And that is your future of work that you're preparing for by attending universities, right? And building upon these competencies that widely prepare students to be career ready. So what are these competencies that we're going to talk about? So career and self-development being the first one, right? So understanding yourself and then understanding what's out there as far as options. So we'll get more into that too shortly too. But the rest of these competencies are competencies that you're building in the classroom and some that you cannot. Again, stressing the fact that only going to class isn't maximizing all that you can do to become career ready. So communication, verbal, written, of course, you're going to have to write papers, present projects, presentations, and things. Critical thinking, of course, you need that to complete your classes. Equity and inclusion, what does that mean here? This means your interaction with others that are diverse from you, meaning that you are able to cooperate or engage in with communities that are unlike your own. Meaning you're going to be in workplaces with people that maybe you didn't necessarily grow up with, or maybe you didn't have friends that had the same background as them or the same culture growing up, right? Equity inclusion is about being able to engage with all different people from all different backgrounds, right? In university, you will have opportunities for that, being involved in clubs, maybe sports, intramural sports, different types of ways that you can engage with others, right? And these other maybe competencies, equity, leadership, professionalism, really emphasizing professionalism. That is something, like I was saying before, you don't learn in the classroom, right? You learn in that workspace or that industry of your interest, and it's different by industry, right? Not always, you don't see me dressed up in a suit and tie right now, and I'm in my office. So industries look differently, right? Compared to different ones, but getting into the other ones, teamwork, technology, leadership, again, some of these competencies that you will be learning in the classroom, some of these others you cannot learn in the classroom. You intentfully seeking, right? 93% of employers intentfully seeking those who obtain these career readiness components as well as your degree. All right, so now let's talk about specifically how you can contribute to your career readiness, right? I talked about the different competencies and the ways that we can think about what we're building intently in our time in universities, right? But now let's talk about maybe some of the services, specifically how the career centers, right? Maybe it's which colleges that you're looking at can help you along with your journey too. All righty, so I'll take a pause real quick. You can drop in the chat, true or false. But what is your response to this question? I kind of already gave it away. But when you pick a specific a specific major, you choose a specific career. Do you think that is true or false? Yeah, I know, I kind of gave it away already. So of course, yes, it's false, totally false. Your major does not limit you to one specific career, right? It opens different career pathways. So I, again, can't tell you how many maybe student appointments I've had where the number one question is, I'm majoring in art or I'm majoring in history. What do I do with this major? What can I do with this major, right? So there's obviously lots of different ways we can tackle that question as far as what is it related to you want to do with your major, or like I was saying before, your major is not a limitation of what you can do, right? But it's an expansion of what you can do and what you're bringing as a strength into the world of work, right? So it expands upon different career pathways. Specifically from the Career Center, we have something, or from the Cal State LA Career Center, we have something called Focus 2, which is like an online assessment. But don't think about online assessments as like Miss Cleo with the magic ball that's going to just predict your future. And here you go, that's the most perfect career. Think of it as a tool to help you start to reflect and to understand what are your values, your skill sets, interests, right? We did I kind of reviewed a little bit over of that practice earlier, right? When I was talking about values, influences, but that's one aspect of self-reflect. And we can use some other tools, in this case, in our case, Focus 2, but there's other different types of tools. That's not the only type, but you can utilize self-reflection strategies. Nonetheless, think about self-reflection strategies in that first step. then what you can do with your major, and as well as having career conversations. So that's a strategy of literally you connecting with the professional and asking them questions about their career, right? How did you get here? What advice do you have for newer generation trying to emerge into this role? Some things that you wish maybe you could have done differently. And it's a really great networking component, right? Because now that professional knows you're interested in their field, perhaps they can connect you with other professionals so they can talk about their career, possibly have opportunities like volunteering or job shadowing to get into that space. So you are now creating a leg in, if you will. And that's honestly one of the hardest parts of branching into a new industry, is getting that foot in the door. But when you're exploring, you're putting your foot in the door, right? So there's different strategies and ways that you can do that, right? And your career, well, us at the Career Center, I know I'll speak for Cal State LA, we definitely help you to explore what that means, understanding that portion of what you're interested in and what's out there and available. And then the next step, when you know what's out there, how do you target your opportunities? How do you search for them? At Cal State LA, we have something called Handshake, which is like a job platform for students to search for opportunities. And then we also talk about other ways to search for work, right? Other ways for searching for work, including, like LinkedIn, maybe other job boards per se. But fun fact, did you know that's only 40% of the job search, right? 40% of looking at job boards, whether it's LinkedIn, Handshake, or any other job board, that's 40%. 60% of the job search involves that networking aspect, right? Who's in your circle, right? And that can come from LinkedIn as far as networking with other professionals you may never have met before, but it also stems from people or individuals that you currently know too. So networking doesn't always have to look like you're knowing people or reaching out to people you don't know, but it also includes your own built and established networks, right? And that's what finding opportunities looks like, right? Next slide. So this is just showing a visual of what it looks like as far as what your current networks look like, right? You have yourself, family, friends, maybe important colleagues, peers, and of course, I put down here Cal State LA community, but thinking about your own maybe university community, right? And again, all of its resources, that is also your networks. And then anything outside of that, extracurricular, maybe a place of work, maybe other programs, clubs that you may be involved in, all of those are your networks, right? So it's not always tapping into people you don't know, but it's also about tapping into people that you do know. And then of course, sorry, a little bit talking about now the application, right? So some of the career services that are built into your career readiness components is also now expressing them, which is coming into your play of resumes and cover letter documents, right? So I won't go too much into detail here, but this is a great way for where you can start to express the experiences that you're having in college, right? Because number one fact, a lot of students, when I get my appointments, are asking, I don't have any experiences to put on my resume. I have never worked, meaning I can't create a resume, which means I can't apply to a job, which means I can't work, which means I can't get a resume. And they go in this circle. I'm here to break the cycle for that. I'm here to say that a resume is not a work history document. It is a skills-based competency document. So in university, literally the courses, the assignments that you are completing from your courses, whether it looks like group projects, presentations, research that you're doing, you can put on your resume. A lot of students are not aware of that because the resume is not a work history document, it's a skills document. You're building skills in the classroom, right, that we talked about. So you can talk about your projects on a resume, right? Of course, volunteering. Did you know you can put job shadowing on a resume, right? So there are a lot of different types of experiences that you're building because different types of experiences elicit different types of skill sets. So we talk about what it means to build a resume and of course the cover letter, which is still different from the resume, right? But it still expresses your experiences and your skill sets. And it's like an introduction to you, to the manager or to the organization, I say manager, but organization that you're applying to, right? So it's really important thinking about when you're building application documents, you're thinking about how now you are expressing your professional self, your professional brand through your experiences that you're having and currently having at university. And of course, then the interview, right? So very similar to the resume building, right? Expressing our experiences on paper. Now we're talking about ourselves in an interview type of format. Another common question I get, or maybe common that I get from students is thinking, or common maybe question I get from students, excuse me, is, well, if I get invited back to the interview, what types of questions are they going to ask? Are they going to quiz me on my knowledge of the industry, of the job? I'm here to tell you, no. They might ask you questions similar or related to the job, to the industry, but the interview is, they already feel you're qualified when they read your resume, invite you back to the interview, they already feel you're qualified. Now they're just trying to get to know you in an interview, right? So you're using the interview to express who you are as a person, right? To literally meet and greet maybe your potential supervisor, and kind of expressing yourself as you would from your resume, but now you're doing it more in a verbal delivery, right? They're getting to know you and how you fit into their work culture or their company environment, if you will. So I tell students, they already feel you're qualified. Now you're just selling them on who you are, your character, of course, there are certain strategies and certain questions that they ask that we go over and help with students, right? But that's where you're thinking about the interview. They're just trying to get to know you, right? So of course we have means for that as far as preparing for the interview, right? Because there's definitely practices to that. But that's why I'm here to debunk about the interview. It's not a quiz to quiz you on your knowledge of the industry. It's for them to get to know you. So of course, like I was mentioning before, utilizing the campus, right, as your whole means of career preparation, because attending classes is part of it. So from Cal State LA, I put down some ideas for students at this campus and their ways of building their professional development, right? Which is participating in student orgs. I know from us, it's the University Student Union at different universities, of course, maybe different places, but participate in a student organization. Us, Cal State LA, we currently have over 150. We have a lot, basically, right? A lot of different topics, domains that these organizations and student clubs are underneath, right? That expand upon your own connections. I know there's a Cal State LA marketing club that I've had the opportunity of doing presentations for, and they invite back employers to their own club all the time and have professional development with other departments across campus too. So you are not only getting maybe professional wisdom and advisement, but you're making connections across all the way up the rest of the entire community, right? And then I put down here, signing up for volunteering opportunities. Cal State LA has its own center that literally, that's one part of their aspects, is securing volunteer opportunities for students to sign up for. And then we also have an alumni mentoring association. I tell students, right, connecting or making connections with people that we may not know might be hard, right? But starting off with alumni, individuals who have been in your shoes, right, from your alma mater, increases your chances. And then here at Cal State LA, we have a mentoring program from the Alumni Association that they literally bring the alumni to this center or this this program, wanting to meet current students so that they can expand upon their professional networks before they graduate, right? I hear from students all the time, how can I get a job before I even graduate? Internships, for sure, but also making connections. Internships is one of them, but literally making connections with the professionals in the field is going to really be that icing on top of the cake. So that's why I really talk about connect with the alumni, or maybe your other universities that have some type of mentoring program for that. And now kind of coming to a close to our time together today, talking about now planning, right? Talked about career components, the competencies of it. We even dived in on the certain topics of how we can contribute to our competencies. And I'll start planning about it, right? So developing what we call a professional development plan. So in university, right, you're going to get maybe your class schedule, if you will, but that is called your academic plan, right? It maps out your course that you're taking semester by semester, completion up to your degree, right? So in your academic plan, your academic or your advisor is working with you to help you set up your classes your freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior. And during these times, in an overview sense, as a freshman, you might be experiencing a lot of different stress, right? It's a new university. You might be adjusting as far as time management goes. There's a lot of different shapes and changes. But in your professional development plan, right, your academic plan maps out your courses. Professional development plan maps out the types of professional strategies like we just reviewed, career exploration, the searching for opportunities, networking, right? Those are professional development strategies along with your academic plan. Because again, I'm going to keep stressing it. Only attending classes is not maximizing all that you can do to become career ready. So in tandem with your academic plan, for freshmen as an example, when you're thinking about your general education classes, again, stress management, time management, all these may be big components. This is a great time for you to do that self-exploration of the self. You can even start right now, right? Some of the different things that we were talking about and strategies that we were talking about in today's session, as far as how you can explore, right? And then you see throughout your whole time here, sophomore, junior, senior, you're going to start thinking about how ways you can then engage, right? Through internships, job shadowing, volunteering throughout your time of senior, where, you know, you land that job before you graduate, right? Or you're lined up for a job as you graduate. So that's what, or showing what these arrows look like when you're thinking in tandem of your planning of your goals, right? So an overview, all of this falls into your career decision-making. So we spent some time here in that self-assessment, right? Of understanding the self, identifying your research options. That's number 2, right? Exploration, what's out there. Now these next steps, whether we realize it or not, we are all going through this career decision-making process, but it's about being aware about it, right? So we can maximize this process, because that third step, once we decide what we want as far as the different options that we're interested in, is prioritizing it. Which ones do we want to engage in first, right? We have our plan A, plan B, plan C, because plan A is maybe our most interest. Then we have our plan B and plan C that we want to engage in. Then step 4 is to take action. That's that internships, volunteering, engaging, career conversations. You are putting your foot in the door to that career or careers, fields, and trying them out. Last step is now reflecting upon your experiences to move forward with, well, I like plan A, or I think I like plan B much better than plan A from my experiences that I've had, right? It's helping you to make that informed decision. So again, these steps are pretty self-explanatory. We're like, oh, that makes sense when you're deciding about careers, but it's about maximizing what you have here too as well. So I know I went over a little bit of time, so apologize about that, but let me know. Oh, I know I saw 2 questions in the Q&A chat, but thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, awesome, Lauren. Yeah, that was such a great content on, and there's 2 questions officially on the Q&A, but I don't know if you saw that chat going crazy, where there was like tons of questions in there. So maybe I would just ask like 1 or 2. We do have a little bit of a leeway. We'll stop hard. We have a hard stop at 6. One of the questions that continuously came up, or at least I tried, was a lot of it was reflected around clubs. Do you have to join a club in order to gain some experience? Like what do you recommend around that? I think some people are, it's like they've either joined a club for a short amount of time, maybe they haven't found the club that speaks to them yet. But how strongly would you endorse joining a club on campus?
I would definitely endorse, I definitely advocate it for sure, but I don't advocate in the sense of like forcing yourself to join a club. If there's really nothing of interest that you're like, I just don't see, I'll speak for Cal State LA experience. Like Cal State LA, I don't see any clubs maybe from Cal State LA that I'm interested in, but it still doesn't change maybe your engagement in that career. It might look different. Maybe now you're looking at professional organizations outside of Cal State LA, right? To maybe engage in and build your professional networks in that field per se, but clubs is one aspect of it. Like I was mentioning, volunteering is another way as far as engaging in that field, having career conversations, right? You're networking, if you will, with those like professionals. Sometimes clubs just make it a little easier because like I'll use the marketing club from Cal State as an example. They bring people together, right? As far as professionals, employers into their club. Now, students can still go out to seek those types of opportunities too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We have so many more questions and I wish we could answer them all. So we'll do our best to follow up with the students. As far as their scholarship, honestly, I don't think we anticipated so much activity in the chat. So we're definitely, myself, our tech person, even Lauren, we're going to get some, we're going to go through it and see, who we felt would be, or we felt is going to be deserving of the scholarship. So we'll be sure to reach out to you. So just be on the lookout for an email from us in the next couple of days. But with that being said, thank you so much, Lauren. We really appreciate all the great content that you shared here with us today. It was amazing. I know our students got a lot out of it. I want to thank Kaplan Perone. Thank you so much for sponsoring this particular workshop. We really appreciate all the support and the continuous effort that you give to all our students. But with that being said, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the workshops. Take care, everyone.